Hi, welcome race fans. We are here with our new show, Under Caution. I'm Heather and this is Puka, and please make sure to share out the show and like or subscribe. Now, today our show is brought to us by ZuliRaceEngine.com. Now, we are going to piggyback a little bit off of our previous episode where we talked about retaliation and what that looks like in the world of dirt track racing. And I know that dirt track racing, there's a lot of emotion and energy that goes into racing. I've driven, you've driven briefly, but it is just very invigorating, and it's all adrenaline. And so we understand some of the emotion that's involved, not at the high stakes that a lot of these drivers are racing at. But where are our thoughts on using cars for retaliation? When you're a competitive driver and you have 75,000 to 100 grand into a late model, is that the best way to think about retaliating? Where are the rules at the tracks with fistfights? I don't know. I'm not necessarily saying that we should be fist fighting out there, but I certainly don't want to see somebody taking their car and driving over another one, just for the safety. And my goodness, when you guys are putting that much money into cars, is that really what you want to do? So that's kind of where I'm at. Are we crossing a line when we're retaliating with cars or not?
Yeah, so like I said, we're kind of going off this. There were some comments on our rivalry episode. And if you're following social media at all, you've seen a couple of episodes that have happened this summer of using cars as weapons. We saw the Bobby Pierce, Tyler Erb incident at the USA Nationals at Cedar Lake in August. And then just a week or two ago at the Jamestown Stock Car Stampede on the cool down lap, the one gentleman ramming and then rolling, and both cars end up rolling. Yeah. Thankfully, or as far as I know, I haven't seen anything on social media that anyone was hurt or injured. There's nothing. There's some fines and suspensions. But this is the current state of racing. This is the current state of how you take out frustrations. And like you had said, what happened to fistfights? In the 70s and 80s? NASCAR, dirt car, it was pretty easy. You got together, you got a black eye, and the problem was solved. And I think part of this is there's ongoing frustration because the problem is never solved. I don't know if it's a big WZOTA penalty that there is, or if some of the drivers, quite frankly, are just being sallies. I'm a ex-hockey guy. I got in fights. I know what it's like. It's different when you're out there. You watch games, the crowd's behind you, you think, oh, this is great, there's going to be a fight. But when you're the actual guy fighting and you square off with the guy, you don't hear the crowd. All you're worried about is this going to break my nose, or am I going to break his first so this ends? And, you don't want to get in those situations a whole lot if you're in them. Once you're in them, you don't want to, unless of course there's like fighters in the NHL, but they're fighters, they're not real hockey players, They're in there for a different reason. NASCAR kind of got rid of fighting there in the mid-2000s. You didn't see any. Now that ratings have tanked. There, your last few years, you've seen a little. There's big scuffles in the pits, kind of team versus team. Everyone's breaking up, and they get the cameras. Yeah, the pickers, and they actually get the cameras in there where you, in 04, 05, 06, you would not have seen that in NASCAR. But they're desperate. They're dying. And, they're doing anything for ratings. And it's smart because, let's go back to the UFC, Dana White's company, and this is vicious. This is beyond fighting. This is vicious. Their ratings are through the roof. They're one of the most popular sports in the world. So as UFC was growing there in the mid to late 2000s, NASCAR is taking away fighting. Even the NHL it's done everything over the last 10 years to take off fighting. Just as, like I said, the UFC is just skyrocketing. It has all this momentum. That's why Gary Bettman, who's the commissioner of the NHL, he constantly gets booed. Every time he brings out the Stanley Cup, every year he gets booed, except for this year because there were no fans. He got lucky. He got lucky in 2020. No booing when he presented the Stanley Cup. So, that's, cars as weapons or fistfights. Where do we go on this? Do you recall any good fistfights at the races?
Maybe just a few at our local track, but Not so much, not really.
Yeah, see, I don't either, you know. But I know you talk to guys from the 70s and 80s, and they talked a lot about fistfights. We had a comment actually on our video, our episode about rivalries, where I think it's Lem Turnberg. He's
Yes.
involved with the track.
Yes.
He said the old rule in racing is you get in a fight in the pits, I fine you $100. You get in a fight on the front stretch, I give you $100.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, I don't think fighting or using cars as missiles, any of them are necessarily a good thing. And it's not just for safety, because you got to look at, okay, so these videos that went viral with Herb and Pierce and the Jamestown incident, they went viral, but they went viral to the racing community. Okay, you have an event like that where somebody dies, then that is going to go viral to the general public. And one issue that dirt track racing has had specifically is we have not figured out yet how to attract the big corporate dollars as far as sponsorships. So we can't seem to get Busch Light. We can't seem to get Coca-Cola. We can't, you know, whatever Pepsi, you know, on a national level. You know, we just can't seem to get Monster Energy or what have you. And if you have something like this go viral and somebody dies, that's when, and all this big corporate dollar stuff, it's controlled in New York, Chicago, and LA with the big advertising agencies. And those people in those markets see that, then racing becomes those people, them, they. Like, we're not like them. And then you're not going to attract any corporate dollars at that point when they see this, you know, like I said, those people.
Yeah,
you know,
it becomes multifaceted.
Yeah. So that's, you know, it's like I said. So the car as the weapon is dangerous as far as the growth of the sport. So maybe you could just comment on here. What would you rather see, or what is even safer, a car as a missile or a fist fight where a guy, like I said, might end up with a bloody nose, a bloody lip, and a black eye? Because like I said, this is not a future problem, so to speak. It is, you know, it's a problem that's happening right now. And also, if you know the WASOTA penalty, maybe you could comment on here, because I don't currently know what it is, or if there's stages and tiers, and whether you even agree with the WASOTA penalty. Maybe they got to get rid of it. Like I said, NASCAR is kind of getting rid of some of their stuff. And like I said, I'm not so much, because the fans aren't going to see it anyway, necessarily, because they're going to be fighting in the pits. So I'm not looking at this as fighting as far as ratings. But I'm looking at it, is it safer just to fight in the pits after than using your car as a battering ram missile, and then somebody's really going to get seriously hurt?
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us here on Under Caution. And don't forget to share your thoughts and ideas down below. Please comment. And we'll see you next time.